That is awesome. And I like how you all are competing amongst yourselves for reaching the stream first. But today I have an amazing stream for you lined up. I have a pretty cool, surprise for you all as well. And yeah, hi folks, welcome. I'm always so happy to see so many returning hackers. It's always awesome. So today's stream is going to be very cool for multiple reasons, but let's dive into the presentation immediately. But of course, before we dive to that, definitely register and check in. I'm going to quickly share the check-in link in the chat, and we shall dive into the presentation ASAP. So I'm going to share my screen. You all know, let me know if my screen isn't visible. And there we go. Awesome. So we're going to be talking a lot about LLMs today, and you all know that word has been trending a lot, and I'm sure you all awesome hackers have already used it at some point. So let's dive right in. We're going to be using something called the Graphlit API today, and it's very cool. Hey Emily, welcome to the stream. I can't believe you're joining me at 4 a.m. Kudos to you, girl. But awesome. I think Emily, you're going to love the stream too. So yeah, and I think I'm going to mention your story again at some point in the stream. Cool. Let's go then. Hi folks, I'm Rithvi. In case y'all haven't joined my streams before, I've been a coach at MBH for quite some time. I call myself a maker and I love stories. That is literally my point of decision making at any given point. If I have to choose to do between something, we'll just make a good story. That's good enough for me to do. And here's your surprise, folks. So I have a really cool guest for you all here. Hi, Kirk.
Hi, Rithvi.
So, folks, Kirk here. I'm going to let Kirk introduce himself. But yeah, Kirk, go for it.
Yeah, hey, everybody. I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Graphlit, based in Seattle, in the US. And yeah, happy to be here and talk about Graphlit today and LLMs and RAG and all this kind of things.
There's so many people saying hi to you, Kirk. All right, cool. So, great. So, Kirk is basically going to be leading most of the stream today, including this. So, Kirk, I'm just going to start off with something I do in all of my streams. So, there's something called the intuition exercise that we do. It's basically, I'm going to tell you all a technical term which is in front of you. LLM. It does not have to be remotely correct. It does not have to be the technical definition. It's just the first thing that pops into your head, right? So, Kirk, I'll tell you what happens when we do this exercise. My favorite, since it's the API week, and I did this for APIs, and I get some really cool answers like siblings. One of the best analogies for APIs I've got is siblings. That's the best example of, yeah. So, see, there we go. Great job, y'all. I love what you all come up with. People come up with some very quirky, good stuff to remember this entire stream by. NLP model, interesting. People are getting technical. Cool. Folks, I'm going to give you 2 more minutes on the clock. Just whatever comes to your head, the first image, the first word that comes to your head, go ahead, put it in, and then we'll actually dive into the technical stuff regarding LLMs. ChatGPT, interesting. Well, that's a very nice answer. Oh, someone's complimenting you from your screen. Neural network that knows all about you. Okay, interesting. Gen AI. Ooh, I like this. I like Transformers. I think that's where we're headed eventually. Oh, it's late for Cook, I'm sure. I think it's 1 a.m. for Cook.
Yeah, I was just working, so still up.
Emily is in ES. She's joining in at 4 a.m.
Oh, wow.
Also, Kirk, while we're at it, I should mention Emily here is, I think, one of the best hackers, one of my favorite hackers, really, because the story is really cool. She is actually changing her profession. She is, I think, in her 40s, and she just changed her profession, and she joins all the streams and interacts with all the hackers and follows every project. Oh, 50s. That is a really cool way to look at it, Pranav. That's a really good way to look at it. Oh, is there an echo? Let me check. Thank you so much for mentioning. All right, folks, let's move on. I think I'm going to hand it over to Kirk now. I'm going to be hanging around in the background to, pitch in and interrupt whenever I can. But I think Kirk is going to do a great job walking you all through what's an LLM and how to use Graphlit. So, go for it, Kirk.
Awesome. And I think I fixed my mic. I'll keep watching it keeps resetting the volume on me. So, but yeah, happy to be here and kind of talk about LLMs and RAG and all these kind of things. Basically, what we've done is we have a API and a platform that can be used.
Kirk?
Yeah.
I think you're not audible.
StreamYard is not liking my audio here. Let's see.
Kirk, if you see in StreamYard, there'll be settings in that you can turn up your mic volume as well. I think that might help.
Okay, now it's all the way up. Is that any better?
Oh, it's better, yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's fighting with my audio driver. So, okay, hopefully that'll work. Call me out if it's not. Okay. But yeah, I mean, so what really it's all about knowledge. And I mean, that's really a lot of what LLMs are focused on, is kind of combining knowledge with the training that is in these models with knowledge that you have in email messages and documents and audio and things like that. So let me just run through just a couple quick slides here, show you what we're talking about. Let's see here. Okay, I think we can see that. It's really what I've been interested in for a long time. Originally worked it with video broadcasters like ESPN and folks, and managing all their media. So I had a company for about 10 years working in that space. But really what I started to get interested in was podcasts and all these forms of knowledge where really the data, the knowledge is inside the media. So it's in the audio transcripts. It's definitely in the in so many different areas that we can get value out of. And so what we have is a platform that can manage this, and this is what we're gonna work on today. And so what we've built is, if you're familiar with knowledge graphs, and if you're not, what a knowledge graph is it's thinking about organizing knowledge. So it's like you go to the library and you have the different sections of the library where they've organized sports information versus medical versus say engineering. That's a lot of what this is like. And what we can do is take all these different data sources and organize them automatically and make them available to the large language models. And so what we do is when we put data into our system, and when you upload data to a system like this, it's typically called ingestion. We extract information from that, which could be metadata, which is like who wrote a document, or who's like on a podcast episode, or what's the podcast episode topic. So we're going to extract that information from the data and then can enrich it with other sources like Wikipedia or different APIs or databases. And so the knowledge graph is really the organization of all that. And so let's see, I'm not sure if is it still having the audio problem? Let's see.
So I think your audio is fine. It just keeps going in and out. I feel like your device is switching audio output.
Yeah, with this StreamYard and my. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, I've never actually used StreamYard before, so I'm not sure. Okay, wait. Let me turn off echo cancellation. Maybe that will help. Is that
you're not on.
You can't hear me at all?
Oh, now it's fine. So it keeps fluctuating. So the times when your volume just drops and then it increases. Yeah,
I can see that levels going back and forth in StreamYard and my driver, and I don't know what it's doing. Okay, let's try that. Is that it looks like it's staying stable now. Better?
Yep.
Okay. Hopefully this will stick. Okay, so we're talking about knowledge graphs and really the ability to, create knowledge graphs from the data automatically. And a lot of what the issue is with this is okay, I see it, so I can see the chat. So I think it's okay. It seems better now. But yeah, it's really about organizing the data so that the large language models can take advantage of it. And so what we have is a platform that's for developers, and you can put data into our platform, you can query it and search on it, and then you can actually sort of prepare it for use by these large language models. But it's not just, yeah.
Look, I'm just going to ingest before we cover these, do you think we can discuss the basics of what an LLM is?
Okay, yeah, we can even go back a step for that. A large language model is basically you can think of it as an API. It's something that you can call as a web service, and it really works as you send it a prompt. And it's just text, like you might send to ChatGPT, and then the model has been trained on information that is, found on the web. So it could be, I know they train on Reddit, they train on Wikipedia, and how it works is, it creates the response from the model based on your prompt and based on its training. And how the details of that, it's a lot of math. It's actually, I'm not a data scientist, so I don't really get into those details from it, but you could think of it as, it's a service that provides you back knowledge, can do reasoning on the data, and then give you back an answer.
Okay, so do you want to maybe take us once, or
honestly, I'm not a data scientist, so this isn't the part I know. So if you know it, then that would be great.
Sounds good. So folks, why? I think the reason we need to do here, I'm just gonna mute Kirk for a second. So folks, the reason why, imagine, right? Kirk is not a data scientist and he's built something so awesome is how powerful LLMs are, right? So what's happening under the hood is basically a bunch of stuff. So this diagram here, this architecture here is a really good example, right? So why do you need, why do you want to work with an LLM? What's the process of working with an LLM, right? So that is where a RAG comes in, right? So LLM is basically a large language model, right? So we all know that now. But how do you use an LLM, right? LLMs have been around for quite some time. There have been a bunch of papers as well. So that's where chaining comes into the picture, right? So you have an LLM which has a bunch of really good algorithm. It has been trained on some data, right? Actually, a lot of data, right? But you need for it, it's like a good example would be a baby, right? We have all the brain neurological parts, but it really doesn't have the context, right? So for us, that's how we're different people, right? So when you give it the right context, you teach it, how to do things, it can then do things. So that's how an LLM works. It has all the algorithm, it has a lot of decision-making power, but it doesn't really have context. So that's where a RAG comes in. That is where you've been hearing the word LangChain a lot, right? A ChromaDB a lot. So what it's doing is basically an LLM. You're going to chain it to a context, which is basically a huge database that you want answers from, right? And then you're going to quiz it. And then what the LLM will do is it's going to query a vector database, right? Where we've stored a lot of data and then we're getting answers, right? So I'm going to now give it back to Kirk because now the problem and the solution will make a tad more sense. Kirk, back.
Awesome. I was just answering the chat. Okay, there we go. Answered that. Yeah, so basically what this is, and I'll get into RAG more of where this fits in. And this is a whole pathway of data. So you have to get data into the system first, extract it, enrich it, and then you can query it. And the query is really the R in retrieval. And so if you've worked with ChatGPT or a Copilot, any of these products, it's this whole process that you have to go through in order to ask questions of that. And so I'll kind of start talking more about some of the details here, but I mean, the knowledge graph we create and then using it with all these different models like OpenAI, Anthropic, Mistral, and that's really where the value comes in. So let me just go to kind of what I'll show you next is we have sample apps that you can start looking at, start playing with. We have documentation, and I can start walking you through some of the basics in the GraphQL API. And so let me share this other screen here. Oh, present, share screen. And here.
So folks, if you're going to be following along with us, let us know. So we can basically make sure that you all are on the same page. We're going to start off, just a second, Cook. So we're just going to start off with sign up. So if you all are facing any issue with the sign up, also let us know. I'm going to keep putting the links Cook shares on his screen, so it should be easier for you all to follow. All right?
Awesome. I was just going to ask where you had the link. So that is perfect. You'll handle that. And so what I'll show is, just kind of walk through some of the key concepts. And it's really all about content. And when we talk about content, and this is kind of that data source for the LLMs, it really could be anything. It could be web pages, it could be MP3s that we create transcriptions from, Slack messages, Notion pages. We just added support for GitHub issues. So we try and be really broad of what kind of data we can pass into the large language models. And you can either upload them directly. If you have a URL, or you can actually just, browse for a file in your local system and then upload it. And that's really how you get content into the system. Or we have what's called feeds. Let me zoom this in a little bit. And feeds are a way that you can read data kind of continuously pulling that data, say from cloud storage, if you're familiar with like an Amazon S3 bucket, or even just a Google Drive, or an email feed. And so really you can either push data to us, or we can continually pull it. And that's really an important step for any system that you might have seen these sort of chat with your PDF applications out there, but they're kind of just one shot. You just push data in and then you can chat with it. But for really valuable applications, you want sort of that continuous stream of knowledge. Like, what did I type in Slack today? Or what emails did I receive? Or new archive papers that have been submitted. So that's a really big area that we have of a variety of ways to get data in. And then we have this idea of workflows. How do you actually get data into the system? I'll kind of skip over this a little bit, but you can sort of read about, how we actually prepare the data for LLMs, which is really important. This preparation stage of, you have an MP3 file, how does the LLM can't read audio directly? So you have to transcribe it and pull out the text from the MP3 or a video file and be able to put that into the system. And so all of the workflow is really around getting data in, preparing it for the LLMs. And then conversations are the chat side of it. So when you think of a RAG application, there's retrieval, which is, think of it as search. You have to search through, say, all your files and figure out what is related to the prompt that I'm asking. So maybe I'm going to ask, when did we talk about, somebody's birthday? And you'll do a search on the data, what's called a vector search, which uses a way of similar text. So it looks at basically your prompt and the text that's in the database and finds where they match up and where is similar. And that's really been a big change of how a lot of these applications work, of the retrieval side of this. And so the R in retrieval means search for content. And then the other interesting part is you might need to sort it by how relevant the data is to your prompt. And so there's ways of looking at, maybe it grabbed 10 Slack messages and 5 emails and 3 PDFs. They may be similar, but they may not be relevant. And that's another part of the valuable part of this RAG pipeline is feeding relevant data to the LLM. And so there's this whole sort of pipeline approach of searching, sorting, and then giving the LLM the prompt. And the interesting thing is, I mean, what we provide to the LLM is really no different than what we copy and paste into ChatGPT. But it's all that retrieval and the sorting and the relevance, that everything kind of before that is what has to be done to give a really good answer. And so that's a lot of what we do is, I mean, prepare the data and allow you to have a conversation, but also we have the ability to basically store the history of those conversations. And they're searchable as well. So you could have had 3 conversations yesterday with your data. You could go back and look at the history of that. And then lastly, and we'll talk about specifications, it's really our way just to define, one of the questions was, what models do we support? And that's where you could say, okay, I want to use the new Anthropic Claude model, or I want to use OpenAI GPT-4. So it's kind of a preset, you could say, where you could figure a bunch of what model you want to use, maybe some of the parameters for it, and then that's what you use for asking the questions to the prompt. In addition to conversations, at least our platform, we can do things like summarizing data. We have a sample app for that. One that can create chapters from any podcast or any YouTube video. We can even create social media posts, which I found to be kind of fun. So you could have some blog posts that you're writing, and you could have the LLM just summarize it into tweets. And it works pretty nicely. Follow-up questions are pretty useful for, like, if you're putting in a research paper and you want to be able to, it'll actually suggest questions to ask back to the LLM. And then lastly, the publishing is pretty interesting, where we have a blog post on this, but creating audio summaries. So it can summarize your email or summarize an article, and then you could pick a voice that you want to use, and it'll actually create like an AI-generated podcast for you. And I found this really interesting, where I have one set up that it reads all my emails that I would get overnight, summarizes them, and then posts back an audio summary of basically like I could listen to that summarizes it, and even highlights like, what do I need to respond to for the day? So a ton of possibilities with that. And I think if you're on our website, there's let's see, it's down here, under use cases, and there's a bunch of great blog posts all around different things that I know Ritfield passed along, but we have all kinds of specific articles like here, like AI generated podcasts that you can read about. Okay. Let's see, we'll go back to, I wasn't sharing those, but let's see, you can get that. The knowledge graph we talk about, let's kind of go into sign up, I think. It's probably a good place to start. On the documentation, we have basically a link to go to our developer portal and sign up. It's free to use, up to 1 gig of data, and basically that's good enough for any of the sample applications that you may want to use. And then once you sign up, basically what you get is an account, a user account, and an organization. And the documentation kind of walks you through that. And then what we call a project. And so a project is basically, say, a container for your data. So it could be the back end for an application. You can have multiple projects, but basically all the data is shared within that project. And you can't query data across projects. So that's kind of how we do it. So you can sign up, create a project, and then we'll show some of the sample applications for, say, like chatting with a document. I'll have to share the tab for these. But the documentation has details on connecting to the API. For Python developers, we have a little Graphlit client that you can use. It still requires GraphQL for querying it, but it kind of shows how to set up that client here. And the sample code, we have Streamlit apps that set that up as well. There's some details about the API, and then the real meat of the API is in this API reference section. And so this is like all the detail of what we have here. So I won't go through it right now, but just so you know where to find that, this is like where all the calls are and how to the syntax of the calls and everything. Code samples. We have a link to our code samples on GitHub, which will probably be useful for this. And then just down here, some of the things to look at. These are all, it has a list of all the different file types. So you can say, hey, here's the documents we support. If you want to upload video or audio, it has all that. And then the other is feeds. And these are all the different data sources that we support today. So where it says green for available, that's data that you can use. And then we have a couple that we're planning to actually bring in code from GitHub or Azure repos. And then these are ones we've thought about and just waiting for people to ask for if they need them. Okay, I guess let's go over to a sample app here. Share this out. Yeah. Question. Okay, do we have access to the knowledge graph? Yeah. So once the knowledge graph has been created, you have full access to it. So the API will let you walk through the knowledge graph. You can get access to the content, like the research paper, as well as the people, the places, the things that we would extract from that. So that's one of the reasons we chose GraphQL for API is it's really easy to kind of walk the graph and to see what things are related to the data. So. Okay. So let's see here. Okay, let me get access to a key here. 1 second. Well, let me just walk you through the app. So once you sign up for Graphlit, I will show you. Log in here, and I can show you where to get the key from. Okay, let me sure. Okay, so once you sign up, this is basically our developer portal interface. And once you create a new project, you'll see the project here under demo project. And the pieces you need are over here. So it's your organization ID, this environment ID, and the secret that you'll need to copy and paste into the sample app. So that's in the documentation. If you have any problems with that, let me know in the chat. But basically, these are really the three things that you need to run any of the sample apps. And those would be things that you basically pass into the Python client or the TypeScript client and can use there. Okay, let me flip back over. Streamlit. Okay, so let me copy and paste these. And then what you do is just click generate token. And that's it. So now essentially it's connected to the API. As in, this would be something, I mean, these are just sample apps. So this is not really a full end user app. I mean, what we want is you to build applications that have pretty UX and are more formal. These are really just for showing off the power of the API. And what I can do is, let me just find a PDF here. We can upload a file that's local here. Let's see, let's put it in our pitch deck. And then what you do is scroll down, hit upload. And so Streamlit is ingesting the file now. So it's actually uploading from my local file system, sending to our backend. And I guess I picked kind of a big PDF, but take a second here. And what this does, it does all the steps. So it's ingesting it, it's preparing, pulling out the data from it, and putting it into the vector database, making it ready for search and for chat. And so I can just ask it here. I could say, what does Graphlit do as a platform? And so it's walking through, and now it says Graphlit is a developer platform designed to build knowledge-driven applications. So it found, basically answers me. I'm using the Anthropic, I'm using OpenAI GPT-4 Turbo. And then this, I actually just wrote the sample app earlier today. It actually is pulling out the raw text that it found. So it found it in page 4 of our pitch deck. And this is the raw text that was related to my query. So these would be citations. And all of this is just in some sample code that I can show you here. Let me swap over. And so in basically in our GitHub, we have Graphlit samples, and then Python, and then this one was Streamlit chat file citations. And everything, all of the sample files are really simple. And so they're just using our Graphlit client and the a single page Streamlit app. And I can just walk through. They're pretty much all structured where I've grouped together the functions, and I mean, it should be pretty easy to read through, but this is the GraphQL call to ingest the encoded file. So we're giving it base64 data and directly uploading it. We're telling it we're asynchronous by default, which means that we upload and then you can check back later. But we have a flag to say just wait, have the call wait to be finished. And then, yeah, go for it.
Could you zoom in a little bit?
Oh, yeah. I'll zoom up a bit. Let's see. Okay, is that better? That's a bit better. And so really, I mean, they're all pretty boilerplate. That this is sort of the method we're calling, the mutation we're calling. You set up your variables, and then we're doing some error handling. I have functions like delete the content. The workflow we talked about on one of the earlier the presentation. Basically, what this is saying is to use this AI model, Azure Document Intelligence, and use their layout model, which looks at a PDF and the structure of the PDF, and use it to extract text. So it's optional, but the demo shows how to do that. It just does a much better job for if there's images in a PDF that need to have OCR done, things like that. And then the specification we talked about is this is where we say, what model do we want? We want to use OpenAI, GPT-4 Turbo. I have some other code samples that use like Anthropic or different models. We're saying embed citations. So in the answer you get back, give me the location of where it was. And then just some other different things for configuring the RAG pipeline. And in a normal application, you would really just build the specification once, and you could share it across all the conversations you have. But in the sample app, we have to create it as well. And then for creating conversation, it's really just one call. Say, hey, have a conversation with my data, filter it just on the contents that I uploaded. And this is a case where you can filter on everything in the project and ask questions about all the data you've uploaded, or you can pick just one piece of data, like one file, and chat with just that one file. So we're very flexible in that we can work both ways. You can even say only chat with audio files or only chat with documents. You can filter that way as well. And that's kind of that R and retrieval part of things. And then when we're prompting for the conversation, you're just passing in the prompt, giving it the conversation, and we're asking for the message back and the citations. And that's what we're rendering back on the screen. And then I actually used ChatGPT earlier today to do this, just to like you convert the file type that was uploaded to an emoji. So this is just for display, and I'm still kind of getting used to learning Streamlit and trying to get our apps a little better. And all this is really just all the stuff for file upload. And then the real code is just down here, where we have the file uploader, the file uploader, then we hit upload. It just kind of cleans up the previous data in the state. And then here's the base64 data that we get out of the local file. This is just the local file system. And then we ingest the file. It does a spinner, waits till it's done. And then down here, this is where it puts it into the chat messages. So here's the chat input. So I'm sure there are probably people more familiar, better with Streamlit than I am, but these are just some easy ways to render out the data. And then we have our sidebar here. And so we have different examples. We have one that kind of publishes a report of GitHub issues. This one's kind of neat for summarizing a podcast with the podcast chapters. And we just keep adding more to these. So if there's one is similar to something you'd want to work on, you can copy it, fork it, or whatever you need to do, and create your own off of that. And okay, that's the code. What was next on the list, Riffy?
So I will mostly done. If you can show us how to start from scratch, a quick tiny code sample.
Let's see. I mean, that was kind of the code sample one. I mean, a lot of it would just be, it really depends on what you want to start with. I mean, typically what I do is I copy one of these code samples, and then just because really the code to ingest a file or create a conversation, it's kind of boilerplate. You're just going to reuse that. But I would just have a look at the different samples and then figure out, do you want to chat? Do you want to summarize, or that kind of thing?
Questions for you?
Yeah, so we do support the new GPT-4 vision model, which can look at images and analyze things like that. So I don't have a code sample for that, but we can do that, where you actually can read visual information and pull that data out.
So folks, Graphlit is very new. So we have like the sample apps live every other day. So if you all have a full project and you end up building it, you can create PRs. I think we would love to have them on Graphlit GitHub. So yeah, you.
Awesome.
I mean, I'll be doing it in workshops, slightly slower after this, so you follow along, play around with this. Yeah. If you have any questions before workshops, you can ask them. There were a lot of documents for the documentation work earlier. I don't know if you saw them.
Oh, what was it? Sorry?
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. Let's see. Somebody was asking, is it running locally or in the cloud? Yeah, it's definitely in the cloud. So it's running as a service. For bring your own model, I mean, if you want to fine tune them, if there's an API, a cloud API that works with the OpenAI client API, it's possible. We also support models like fine tune models on OpenAI and things like that. Oh, there. Thank you. I wrote it myself, so I appreciate that. And then I don't know if the blogs are, I don't know if you posted that, but I'll put the link in here. Maybe it didn't work. Okay. Yeah.
Do you want me to put them?
I don't. Oh, there it goes. I don't know. It failed to post. I don't know why. Maybe I'm logged in weird.
No worries. But it, folks, you can post your post your questions whenever through the rest of the stream once we start doing it, of course, and I will relay the questions onto Cook in case I can't answer them. And you can of course join the Graphlit Discord if you have questions directly for Cook. Awesome, great. So I think Cook, do you want to show us anything? Otherwise, we'll just go back to the previous PPT, start from scratch, and make sure everyone follows every step so we can sign up all together and play around with the samples. And
Perfect. Yeah, no, that's all I have. And then if you join the Discord, I'll answer any questions there and kind of keep an eye on it for that. So appreciate you doing this.
Alright, awesome. Thank you, Cook. Thanks so much for joining us. And stay back. I'm gonna actually do everything that Cook showed and play around and code for a bit. Alright, thank you so much, Cook. I'll see you in Discord.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye. Alright, folks, let's get back into everything that Cook showed. It was just supposed to be a simple, from the source knowledge so that you all had clarity into what Graphlit really does. And yeah, cool. So let's get started with the actual hands-on project so that by the end you have something really cool to show off. So this is the Graphlit blog, okay? And this is the Graphlit website. So we're going to start right here. In case you all don't have accounts, we'll also be signing up together. So we can play around with the samples and we can maybe do something cool for the challenges that are running today. Okay, so please do let me know if you all are following along. And then in case you all had any questions regarding the concepts themselves, like RAG and what RAG does. So Emily, I don't know if you heard, but I was explaining initially what a RAG was, right? So you have an LLM. An LLM is basically like a brain, right? You have your algorithms, your decision making. It has some training to do what it's supposed to do, but you need to give it context to give it answers, right? It needs a lot of knowledge base and a lot of database, structured database to be able to find the right answers for you to do the decision making. So a RAG is basically us chaining an LLM to a context, right? So LangChain, one of the most, one of the very highly associated words with LLM, does that. It takes your LLM, your models, and it chains it to the knowledge database. And then you have, databases like ChromaDB, which are vector databases. And they basically work together for your model to be able to query the correct, context, the correct website, the correct data source, and then give you the answer. Make sense? Alright, folks, let's start and continue by signing up. So I'm going to hit the try for free button on the website and hit developer portal when we reach the next prompt. Okay, and this is the blog. There's some really, really cool blogs here. So I'm going to go ahead and close this for the time being. Okay, and let's continue. So I'm going to sign up. I'm going to use an email ID that I haven't signed up with before. So there you go. And I'm actually gonna hit sign up. And I'm gonna hit, you all can do a sign up or a sign in, whatever you're comfortable with. I think I'll have to sign in because I didn't test that email ID. So I'm gonna go ahead and do it at the works and hit sign in. For the password, I'm gonna hit the password. I think a normal email password authentication for this works well. Cool. So there we go. This is something I was testing for you all earlier. I'm going to go ahead and click new project. Okay. And it's going to be GHW API week. Okay. And I'm going to hit create project. And once I do hit create project, it's gonna take me back to the dashboard. I'm gonna hit the project and it's gonna take me to all the API key, the organization ID, environment ID, and so on and so forth. So I'm gonna give you all around 2 minutes on the clock to get to this point before we continue, right? In case you all are already here, I'm gonna go back to the main website and hit some of the examples that are already published here. So a chat with the document, summarize a website. I think these two are good enough for us to get started. Okay, but folks, where did my portal go? Oh, there it is. There we go. So please let me know. Give me a heads up once you're on the portal and signed up. I'm gonna give you all around 2-3. Let's give you all 3 minutes on the clock. It's 2:20 on my clock. You all have until 2:23 to quickly sign up and give me a thumb. All right, Mr. Clues op is done. Awesome. Great. Who else is following along? If you all are following, it's okay if you all aren't following along. You all can do this later as well. But if you all are, let me know. I'm happy to wait for you. Alright, so there's something called the API Explorer here. When you hit that, it takes you and gives you a preview of what's happening, which is pretty cool. Then you have the API settings, which is basically a lot of privacy controls, the URL, your token, and this is how you deploy it to production, your environment ID, and so on and so forth. Right? We won't, however, be using this at all. We'll keep this open just to see what happens when we use it. All right. So awesome. Costab is done. Awesome. Emily's following along. Great. Eclectic's also reached the create project. So go ahead and hit create project. And once you hit create project, you can create your just give it whatever name you want, and you should be on the page that I am at right now. This will say the project name that you give it, and you'll have all your endpoint and tokens over here. Alright, since most of you all are already here, I'm going to go ahead to the samples. In case you all did not see me how to access the samples. Oh, awesome, Eclectic is done. Also, great. So on the main page, which is graphlit.com that I shared earlier, you'll see a bunch of buttons here to take you directly to the deployed Streamlit apps. So I've hit the 3 ones, chat with the document and summarize website. So I'm going to go on first one, which is chat with the document. And you see on the left column, there is a generate token button. So here's what will happen if I submit it without that. It's going to tell me that I need to fill out the connection information. So let's do that. Let's get my organization ID. There is my organization ID. Copy. Paste. Then I want the preview environment ID. There we go. And I'm going to do lastly a secret. Put in the secret, and now I'm going to generate the token. Right? So token has been generated successfully. That's fine. That's great, Pranav. Okay. And now there are a bunch of PDFs that they have given, right? Or you can also enter your own PDF. So go ahead and play with it, right? So I'm gonna go ahead. So attention is all you need is one of the famous LLM papers, right? About generative AI and how it works. It's actually a really cool paper. So I'm gonna hit submit. And now what it's going to do, it's going to create a prompt-based portal here for me to be able to interact with the papers. Now I can ask questions about the paper. I can ask it to summarize it for me. I can ask it to, explain it to a different, so I can tell it, to explain it to the specific group of people. And absolutely, I'll show it again, right? So I'm going to be doing another example. So while this runs, let's put the tokens in the next example, which is the summary of a web feed. So on the Streamlit app, I'm on this app. I can actually share this URL directly with you all. So let me do that. Here you go. right? So over here, I'm going to go back to my portal and I'm here on my project, right? So if you all created your project, you should be on the project page. And over here, you have the project connection information. That is what you'll be using. Okay, so just take your organization ID, right? Paste it in organization ID. Then you go back to the portal, take your preview environment ID, just paste it here. And in the secret, again, there's a secret is right here. The secret is mentioned here. You don't need to see the secret, you can, but I'm just going to copy it and put it in the secret. Okay, does that make sense, Costa? Do you want me to show any of these things again? Awesome. Glad. Okay, so now when I hit generate token, it'll tell me that the token has been generated successfully. Again, you can put whatever you want. So over here, you know what? Let's do this. I'm going to go ahead and hit mlh.io. You know how you ask us a lot of questions about applications and all. You all can actually try and do this, right? I'm going to hit mlh.io and hit submit, and then you can ask whatever questions you want to ask MLHers, and yeah. I'm so glad you think so. That's fine. It's going to keep running, right? So summarizing the website it's going to generating summary. It has created us, right? See document text. Now it has done this, and now we can ask anything about the document. So I'm going to ask it to explain this to me like I am a 5-year-old. Right? It's a research paper, so I want to start small, right? So I'm going to generate an answer. Till then, let's see, it's also done this. It has created a summary of the MLH website. Oh, this is a really cool answer, right? This is so cool. Can you all see it? Do you all need me to zoom in? Let me know if you all need me to zoom in. There you go. So this is the paper, which is Attention is All You Need, which is a really cool paper, one of the base papers for LLMs. And it says, imagine if you have a big box of Lego blocks. Each block can be a word or a part of a sentence. Now you want to build a castle, a complete sentence in English from these blocks. But you also have a picture of a castle in German or French. The transformer is like a magical guide that helps you pick the right blocks and put them together to match the picture. It's super fast and doesn't need to look at each block one by one, but can see all of them at once, making it really good at finding the blocks. Okay, this is not as simple as I was expecting it to be. A 5-year-old would definitely not understand this, but let's see if we can simplify it further. Simplify it more. So you see, it has also context to follow up. Yeah, even I realize that now, but what you can do is you can make it yourself. So this is open source. So if you go in the API documentation and you see, where did that go? New concepts, sample applications, start, CLI. Where did GitHub go? In which case, I'm just going to go GitHub. Graphlit. And there you go. So over here, when you go, you can see that there are sample apps, right? Graphlit sample apps. They're all open source, right? So all of these apps that are deployed on Streamlit, they're here. And you can just go ahead and start playing around with it. All right. So it is 2:30 on my clock sharp. I'm going to give you all a good 20 minutes to just play around with this, right? Once you've added your tokens, what you can do is you can deploy this yourself, right? So whatever you want to start. So which one did we do? We did samples chat. So let's go there. This is the chat file, I believe. This is a summary website, right? So over here, instead of, what you want to do is you want to basically edit this file, right? Right, you want to edit this file into not just give you summary, but also be able to interact with it, which is fairly simple. So what you want to do is you want to go into the chat file citation. I'm not sure which one this is. Let me check. This is chat PDF. So chat PDF. This is the one that's deployed. right? So I'm going to go into the app.py and see how they're enabling chat with it, right? So create conversations, right? So this is what you want. So instead of summary, what you can do is you can create conversations and just deploy it. So what you can do is you can do this locally. You don't need to do this on the cloud all the time. And since you anyway have your API key and API tokens that you're adding here, the only difference is over here we're basically taking an input, right? But over here you're going to have to find the place where we're taking the API tokens and enter them. All right. I'm glad you all are enjoying this. Yeah, I did not know it was a summarizer. I did not notice. I wasn't observant enough, so that's fine. But you can create it yourself, right? So we still have a lot of time left in today's stream. So I'm gonna give you all a good 15-20 minutes to just play with it. Open your Python, code editor, start doing it, and then what we'll do is we'll try to run this locally. I'll run this locally with you, and then we'll try and edit a bunch of things and see how we go. Okay. So it is 2:30 on my clock. Y'all, I'm gonna be hanging around here. You can just play around with it. I will do, and should be fun, right? I can already see y'all are having fun with the API. So I would love to see y'all make. And I know for the fact that we have some TypeScript examples also in the making. So let's go back, and I'm with samples. And there'll be a TypeScript folder soon because I know Kirk is working on it very hard, right? So cool, you all get to use Streamlit and Graphlit together, and yeah, so go for it. And I'm around in case you all have any questions. Eclectic. So this is where you get your token, right? These are again your same places where you're going to get your tokens. However, instead of over here you have an input, right? You will be putting it in the code itself. Although now that I think about it, since this is the same code, I think you can just run it and it will probably ask you to input this once the program runs. So yeah, you're right. I don't have to put the tokens in the code. Once I run the code, it's gonna prompt me for tokens, and that's when you put the tokens. Make sense? Make sense, folks? Exactly, right? So it's a very good pair. You get to use both. It's a very cool project to show off as well once you do some pretty cool things yourself. So yeah, you have a good time. We're left with a lot of time on the stream to actually play around with it. So I'm going to give you all a good 15 minutes to just, do your own thing with it, and then we'll start playing with the code locally. Okay, cool. So I'll be back around 2:45, 2:50, and if you all want any help, I'm watching the chat until then anyway. Okay, awesome. I'm gonna play some music for you all because you all like that so much. How's it going, folks? Are y'all building with it? Are y'all trying it? I am trying to use. I tried my local editor, but turns out there are a bunch of issues in terms of versions. I'm gonna try the oh, there are people working on it. Did you try? Oh, you're working on it? That's great. Even I'm trying it. But let's see how that goes. I know this will be some. Alright, I see a bunch of questions. Let's see. Okay, so y'all are asking me how to showcase output here. Let me figure that out. We can do that. We can do that together right now. We do want to showcase the output, right? Because we're going to be interacting. So I'm just looking at the chat part of it. So in the chat, as you can see, this is where they're prompting, right? So we want to add this to our website, correct? So let's see what's happening for that. Just creating a form. Actually, you know what? Instead of changing the other code, the website code to add the chat there, we'll change this to add the website page, right? So let's look at that code as well that we're at it. Let's see. Summary website. I think we already have this, right? Chat, website topic, and save website. Let's just look at what we added now. Right? Keyword. Oh, did that say so? Oh, I'll have to install Graphlit as well. That makes very little sense. Let's figure that out. I'm just gonna try and do an right here. I'm gonna go back to Graphlit right here. Oh, you can't hear me because of the music. That means stop the music then. There we go. Alright, let's see. So over here we have the Python SDK, client Python, and we can just do this. That should work. Share. I think this should do it. Oh, that's a good feedback. I will try and get some ambient music next time. Wow, you've been using a lot of Replit. That's nice. Cool. I've installed Graphlit. Hopefully this should run, and if I get more errors, I just have to install them as we go. So that's fine. Get item. I think it won't run on this. Oh, I'll have to give a Streamlit token. That makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense. I'm gonna go to Streamlit, and I'm gonna click on Get Started. Oh, see, because they're deploying it over here is why that's happening. So we want to remove the deployment part, right? Line 319. What's not free? Exactly. That's what I've done. I actually copy pasted the code because it's 2 files, but you can also fork the repo. What's not free? Streamlit is free, just pip installs. Yeah, exactly. The problem is, I think we will need to give it a token. So I'm just going to figure out where. So line 319. I'm just going to set the token here. It's done. I just search for token here. I think I'm going to do this. Streamlit. Run. Main dot. Right. Okay, there we go. That was the problem. So I need to hit. I don't need to do a normal run. I need to go to the shell and run a Streamlit run main.py. Alright, so there we go. It's running, and now we can make all the edits that we want. Alright, so again, we're going to add all the tokens and stuff here, which should be. Where do we add it? There. This is where you're going to add the token. It's a very cleanly built thing. So you can add your tokens here, right? So folks, remember when you do it in Replit, you need to do a Streamlit run main.py and not just run the code. Okay? So, you need me to zoom in a little? Sure, let me zoom in a little. Okay? So what I did, I went, there are a bunch of main views open. I'm guessing because that's the. So this is where my files are. This is where my shell is, and this is where my console is. So when I did a normal run, it installed everything. So what you want to do is you want to run it once to make sure all the installations and everything happen, and then once it gives you this error, this is what it was asking me to do, right? It was asking me to run this command, and that's what I did. Once I ran this command, it's running this for me on the local network, and I can view it here and here, right? So I just need to now put all the tokens from the main portal over here, and it will run. Cool. So we now can edit the code, and the code will edit according because we're running it, well, not locally but on Replit. The reason I wanted to do on Replit is because I am a little wary of changing Python editions and all that versions. So cool. Now you all know how to go about deploying it, well, quote unquote locally. So I'm going to give you all another 10 minutes to play before we start solving the problem about wanting to talk to a website rather than just summarize it. Okay, so I'm going to be looking at code all throughout too, so that we can do it together. Okay, and yeah, until then, you all can just deploy it on Replit. If you want, what I can do is I think invite you all here. 100 of you all can join. So I just want copy join link. So now you all can just come to this Replit and copy paste or just play around with it. I'm just not sure if it's a good idea for me to do that. Or is there any way I can just share the code for you all to view and nothing else? And the best part is you can deploy the project with Replit, so you can just literally make all the changes, make the UI changes as well, because it's a very neat and clean code along with a clean UI. So it should be really good for you to start off with. See, the thing is, I can invite you all, but the problem is I don't think we should. Just try and not edit the code, please, folks. I mean, I know we have the sample code already, but try and not edit the code and just maybe make a copy of this. Okay, here, I'm sending the link. I'm trusting y'all. I know y'all won't screw it up, but please be careful. For worst case, I'll just make a new project. Okay, but that's fine. Alright, great. So, cool. I'm going to give you all another, not much time this time. I'll give you maybe 10 more minutes max. So, for you to play around with Replit and set up Replit. If you all, I'll also send you links for Replit if you all don't have it. Let me see. Right, so this is Replit's main link. You all can sign up here. I don't love Replit. I also have it. The reason I love Replit is I have it on my tab as well, and I can write code there, test tiny pieces of code there. I haven't done anything so major, so you all can see I haven't used it in a bit as well. But the best part is it has like CPP, CMake, and everything, so you can really learn things at the core. I like Replit a lot. But yeah, so we do not need Streamlit documentation, but I really like this thing. I did not know this was going on. I think I might do this. The 30 days with Streamlit. Yeah, this seems interesting. Yeah, I love Streamlit as well. Oh, this is really cool. They've also like given prompts and things about different days. It's actually very cool. Huh. I might actually do this. Let's see. If I end up doing it, you all might see it on my Twitter. So hopefully you will. Cool. I'm gonna leave this open because I might do this later. But yeah, I've shared the Reddit link to you all. I think you all can access this also. I can see 2 people here. Great job. Cool. So I think you all should be able to play around with this. Now you can play around. You can start by doing some simple edits in the code, like maybe the colors, in case you want to play around with the UI as well. And you can also edit the form and just make it your own thing from here and change prompts too. Cool. So, oh, that's so cool. I think so. I think you should be able to fork it. I think you should be able to duplicate it. If not, I think you can just copy paste the. Yep, you can just copy the entire thing, duplicate file, and take it. Cool. So, y'all, I'm gonna give you all 10 minutes, and I'll shut up for 10 minutes so that y'all can actually just look at the code and understand the code. All right, have fun. Alright, folks, how's it going? Did you all try to play around with it? Do you have any questions? How's it going? I think it's a fairly simple API. I definitely had fun using it. I was just playing around with the chat, adding chat in the website thing. It's a tad bit more complex because I'm getting some object type errors. But should be easy enough with a little more effort. I'm happy to post the code once I work it out. But of course, like I said, Graphlit is incredibly new. So if you all make anything, definitely let me or Kirk know. And it, for the most part, will get added to the official samples. Cool. So, do you all have any questions? Do you all want to do something together with this, or if you all just want to continue playing with it? Because I know that object error will take a little bit of time to solve. So let me know if you all. Yeah, it was supposed to be a chill stream, like I said, right? I mean, can you believe an LLM stream is supposed to be so simple, right? So I knew this was supposed to be a nice chill stream where you all can play around with it. You all don't even have to like configure APIs and stuff. So fun stuff, and you all got to use Streamlit. You all can now have a basic framework on how to use a Streamlit. This is a really well-built UI for you all to kick off from. So cool. I'm actually going to end the stream a tad bit early because I definitely want to work on the error that's being thrown on me right now. So I'm going to work on it and then send the code across. There's a lot you can do with it. One of my first ideas when I saw the product was getting a bunch of research papers together and then creating a network out of it, especially like because if you're working on a project and you're working on multiple research papers, you can ingest multiple research papers and then ask questions, right? So yeah, I think it's a lot of fun and a very nice tool for you all, especially in college and projects if you're working on new projects. Cool. If you all don't have any specific questions for me right now, you all are welcome to reach out to me on Discord. My Twitter handle is on the screen. Yeah. It is a long day today. Isn't it cool? I think it's one of the longest days in a long time. I remember the first time we started, we didn't put the code in, token in the code, right? Because when we're running the code with the Streamlit command, you can put the code in the boxes here. So over here, you're getting the side panel. You all can put the token here. It's basically the same app that's deployed. It's literally the same app that's deployed, and we're just running it here. And now you can also change the UI. So what you can do is you can remove this entire UI for token altogether and put it in the code directly. So wherever we're asking for code, you can just hard code it. Can you share the Discord link for Graphlit? Sure. Let me just share the Discord link for Graphlit. Not here. What is Graphlit? Community. Paris community. There we go. Community. That is your link to the invite. There you go. Cool. Any other question, folks? No worries. I don't think you missed a lot. We just basically took the sample app and deployed it on Replit, and I was playing around with it on a different screen to edit the chat. But yeah, you can go through the stream later, Mr. Kluzov. It's very simple. We were mostly just chilling and exploring the code. Thank you, Irink and Pranav for answering the question. Thank you. All right, awesome. Yeah, me too. I really want to make it because I have a bunch of ideas in my head for that. I need to go through a bunch of research papers, and I'm not been very active about it. Hey, I will let you know actually if I end up actually starting the project in the next week or two. I will make a Twitter announcement, and if you all want to join me, you all are up for it. It's actually a research-based, psychology-based IoT project, but I do need a bunch of website and Android app development help. So if you all are up for it, yeah, I'm glad Emily you liked it. Yeah, I think it's gonna be a fun tool. I definitely was excited when I saw the tool. I'm like, oh, students are gonna love it. And yeah, I'm glad Kirk could join us. Y'all could interact with Kirk directly. He's on Discord, so you can go ask him questions. That hey, if you were at the Emirate stream, this is what we need. And thank you. I do understand that. Yes, I do understand a lot of Gujarati because I'm a half Gujarati. So yep. Cool, folks. I'm gonna close the stream then, and I'm so glad y'all could stick around and y'all could interact with Kirk and y'all could explore this API. And there's a lot you can do with it, and we couldn't even actually. Oh, I completely forgot. We completely forgot to see the example query page. What I'll do is I'll make a Loom video for you all here and send it to you. That should be simple enough, right? All right, cool. Great. Any questions. I don't see any questions. I'm gonna close the stream. Of course, you all are welcome to ask many questions on Discord. I think this is my last technical stream for this GHW. I have 2 more streams. One is a today in GHW and one mini event tomorrow that I'm really excited about. So yeah, I'll be hanging out in Discord tomorrow and you all can talk to me. I'm really excited to actually talk to you all. So yeah, folks, see you tomorrow. Bye bye.